Oh, hey everyone, I'm Big John, and welcome to another episode of the Diz Ability Show. Coming to you this week, once again, from my condo up at Sunday River. Now, this week, I want to talk to you guys about. We all know Florida is very sunny most of the time, but there are days when it gets very rainy and your plans get all bloop. So, I want to talk to you about how it's good rainy day tips. So, as I've said, if in the past, if you've seen my backpack tip from a couple weeks ago, we talked about that. My mother always brings ponchos just in case of emergency. It's always a good idea to bring your own ponchos rather to buy Disney ponchos at the parks. And also it's a good idea to also have an umbrella handy in case it's rainy. Because I remember one time we decided let's go watch PhilharMagic. Then when we were done with PhilharMagic, it started pouring like crazy. And of course, on rainy days, there's no huge parades or cavalcades. Instead, they have what they call the rainy day cavalcade. So if you're there when it's rainy, you might expect that. And it's also a good idea when it's rainy to duck into an indoor location. Probably the best park to duck into an indoor location would be Epcot, because most of their attractions are in indoor areas, such as the Land or Journey into Imagination or into the Mexico Pavilion. It's always a good idea to go into somewhere where it's rainy and make sure that you have your day planned around it, because you might want to end the day early and head back to your hotel or something like that before the big storm. So you should really think about that. That's my tip. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions on how to do Disney for disabilities, and I'll make sure it gets into a future episode. And now it's time for this week's Top 5. So, this week's Top 5 is a very, very special one, because yesterday was Employee Appreciation Day, and Disney's cast members always go out of their way to help guests have the best Disney experiences. And some cast members have, no, I shouldn't say some, I should say all cast members should have hearts of pure gold. Most of them do. So I want to talk about my top 5 nicest things a cast member has done for me. Number 5, one time when we were walking around a one-man stream now called Walt Disney Presents. For those of you who know me personally, you know that I am a huge Disney history buff. I know all things about the parks. I look at all the exhibits, and I am so awed by them. A cast member noticed it, and she gave me some rare stuff that no other people get to see. She let me take a look at some rare maps of the Tokyo and Paris and Hong Kong parks, and that's pretty cool. And she said I should be working there and not her. And that is quite the compliment. Quite the amazing thing. Number 4, back when I was a little kid back in 2000, I was having a very hard time one evening at Epcot. I was having a meltdown. My dad was trying to help me out, but then a friend of my dad's, who at the time was one of my dad's old Navy Academy buddies, who at the time was the president of Epcot, said that if we have any trouble, you can talk to a cast member, they can help us out. It's good to have friends in the high business, am I right? Number 3, I've talked about this a few times in the past, but that our first time at the Be Our Guest restaurant in Beast Castle, I had trouble understanding the food So they had the chef Jerry come out and talk to me, and it was a pretty cool thing for him. He didn't want to talk to my parents. He wanted to talk to me. He wanted to know what my favorite things to eat were, and he accommodated me. He helped me out, and that is probably one of the coolest experiences ever. Number 2, my first time at Country Bear Jamboree, back when it was like a 15-minute show, and this was back when I had no patience for things I had to sit down for, and one of the cast members, he had a brother with autism back then, and he said he took us to where he sits for the show, way back in the back, because I'm not a front row guy, and he helped us out very much, and it was so good. It was probably one of the, again, a very cool thing. It's good to have someone who knows what you're going through. And my number 1 experience, the cast members with the characters. As I said in the past, I'm not a huge character guy. Some of them make me a little nervous, so a great thing you can do is talk to the cast member coordinators and have them just wave at the table and not come near you. Of course, they're not coming near the tables right now because of COVID. They're, at most character dining, they just do walkarounds, which I think is good too. So anyway, that's this week's top 5. Let me know in the comments if there was anything nice that super amazing or super nice a cast member has done for you. Now, before we get into this week's extra segment, I want to talk about some news that just broke yesterday. So, it was announced. All my California friends, rejoice. It was announced that Disneyland can reopen by April 1st. Not saying it will, but it can. And I'm sure the president of Disneyland Resort is just itching to announce a reopening date. And of course, it also announced that only Californian natives can visit Disneyland when it does reopen. So I'm looking forward to seeing some of my California friends once again, seeing the Disneyland parks, seeing in the new version of Snow White's Scary Adventures now called Snow White's Enchanted Wish. I'm looking forward to seeing all those videos. It's going to be great. And now, it's time for round 1 of our very first March Madness. So, I've already started polls on my Disney Vlog Squad page on Facebook, and I'm also allowing people to vote underneath this video and on Instagram, so that way everyone has a chance to vote for their favorites. So, here are our round 1 matchups. Alright, our first matchup is Space Mountain versus Flight of Passage. Alright, so on one side you have the very first indoor tubular coaster ever made. On the other side, you have an amazing simulator experience, which is like, as many of my friends and myself have called it, Soarin on steroids. So, I can't wait to see which one you guys vote in that one. The second matchup in round 1, Grand Fiesta Tour versus Star Tours. Now, this one is very interesting. On one side, you have a very relaxing Epcot boat ride through Mexico with Panchito and Jose trying to find Donald. And on the other side, you have the very first motion simulator ride ever built. And it's 3D. So, I would be surprised if Grand Fiesta Tour actually beats Star Tours. You never know. It's your call, not mine. Unless there's a tie, in which case I'm the tiebreaker. Next matchup, Seven Dwarves Mine Train versus Kilimanjaro Safaris. So on one side, you have the very first roller coaster dark ride with swinging buckets. And on the other side, you have a breathtaking safari ride where you ride to see real animals. So can't wait to see what you guys choose there. Next, we have Test Track versus Millennium Falcon Smugglers Run. Now, this one's a very good one because it's speed versus simulation. Test Track, of course, the fastest ride at Walt Disney World, though I have a feeling that Tron might take that title once it reopens. You never know. And then you have Millennium Falcon Smugglers Run, where you actually take the wheel of the fastest hunk of junk in the galaxy. So I can't wait to see what you guys choose there. All right, next up, it's Train versus Train. Big Thunder Mountain versus Expedition Everest. Both trains, both mountains, two big differences. On one you got a goat, another you got a Yeti. They must be second cousins. Alright, next we have Soarin versus Tower of Terror. Or as I like to call it, the matchup of Flight versus Fright. On one you got Patrick Warburton, the other a Rod Serling lookalike. So I can't wait to see what you guys vote for on that one. Next we have the what I call the Water War. Splash Mountain versus Kali River Rapids. On one side, you have your basic log flume. The other, you have the wettest Walt Disney World ride ever built. So, seems like a pretty fishy matchup. And finally, Mission Space versus Toy Story Mania. So on one side you have one of the most intense rides ever built. And on the other side you have a crazy 4D game experience, which I always win with. My mom, dad always likes to think working together is cheating. But again, you gotta vote to decide which one comes up. So let me know in the comments which one you're voting for in each matchup, and I will tally up the votes by next week's show. So that's this week's show. Once again, let me know in the comments if you have any questions on how to do Disney for people with disabilities, and I'll make sure I get to do a future episode. Now, for this week's shout-outs, make sure you subscribe to my friend Julie over at Dream to Stream. She does amazing Disney and other theme park live streams on YouTube and Facebook when she isn't working at SeaWorld. Make sure you check her out, as well as my good friends, the Sabal family of Sabal Family Vlogs. They do great YouTube videos from the parks and live streams on YouTube and Facebook. Check them out as well. Also check out my friend Michael over at Mousepiration. He does a great podcast and a great YouTube channel. Check him out as well. And also my good buddy Beth over at Beth's Disney Adventures. She's got 2 streams coming up next week. One from the Magic Kingdom on Monday and one from, I think, Hollywood Studios on Tuesday. Check her out as well. And as always, for the latest attraction news, make sure you check out my good friends over at Attractions Magazine. And until next time, may the mouse be with you.